What I've got here is a collection of pumps. These three, well, actually these four, are from the Art Deco period in the 1930s. And you can see the really fabulous Art Deco details, the starburst pattern, these hips that are kind of reminiscent of the Chrysler Building, all of these sculptural things right here. This pump was built in 1935. What's interesting is this is an advertisement that came out in a magazine in 1935. Wayne Pump Company. Wayne leads again.
Yep.
The world's most beautiful pump. The idea there was they didn't want to build the most cost-effective pump, not the pump that was the most profitable. They set out to build the world's most beautiful pump. What we got here is a combination museum, amusement park, junk pile, and cultural treasure. How's that?
that sounds fine. So are you a pack rat, or are you a collector, or are you all of the above?
I don't know if you can separate the two.
Yeah.
You know, when you have the room.
Yeah.
And fortunately, I've got a couple acres here, so I can sort of get a little pack ratty.
So how did you start this? How long has this been going?
I've had this place for about 15 years.
Yeah.
I started collecting about 25 years ago, and my collection was in my bathroom and under my bed and in the kitchen, and finally I decided I needed to display it properly, and so I got this property here, built this building, and filled it up with a lot of my memorabilia from old gas stations.
Now, yeah, I mean, obviously I'm struck by how many gas pumps. Is that what started you on the road to collecting?
No, actually, I started appreciating the graphic arts and old thermometers, old advertising thermometers. And then that sort of expanded into appreciating the graphic arts and a lot of the old gas station stuff. And I've always been, interested in classic cars since I was a teenager. So the classic cars and the gas station stuff and the old garage stuff is kind of all one big picture. There's a lot of details here that are just add to the beauty, not really functional like those hips. And that was the ethic, that was the sensitivity back then. Let's make things beautiful.
I think people forget that gas used to be competitive, right? People used to have a choice of where to buy gas.
Well, the thing was, both gasoline and oil are really commodities. I mean, the stuff inside the can, pretty much the same. Gasoline, pretty much the same. So it was the marketing and presentation of this commodity that really differentiated the brands, I think. And yes, there was a lot of competition. There was a lot of independent brands that were, say, only sold in one state or even one county. And literally hundreds and hundreds of brands back in the 30s and 40s and 50s, what you see represented here.
Now, tell me about the clear one. There was a reason why it was clear, right? So you could actually see how much gas you were getting.
This one here is from the 1920s, prior to these electric pumps.
Yep.
These totally were manual, required no electricity. If you can see here on the side, there was a pumping mechanism here, a hand pump, and you'd rock that back and forth, and you'd fill this 10-gallon cylinder all the way to the top. And then when the customer came along, by gravity, you drain out the number of gallons he wanted. And as I said, this held 10 gallons. So if you wanted 7 gallons, you drain it to this point here. And what was important about this in the early days in the 1920s is the customer wanted to see the gasoline before he bought it, make sure there was no bugs floating around in it or, pieces of trash. He wanted to know it was clean. And so seeing it in this clear glass cylinder is letting you know it was clean. And later on, after people got sort of accustomed to inspecting their gas, in the electric pumps, you've got these little sight glasses where you can also observe the gasoline flowing through the pump, so you can assure yourself you're buying a clean product, and that was important back then. Ask me what my favorite item here
Yeah.
is, and it would be this sign right here, which is a tin sign, which means it's a very sort of vulnerable to corrosion and stuff, unlike porcelain signs, which will basically last forever. This is a tin sign. It's embossed. You can see the condition is really fabulous, and obviously from the late 1920s. You can see the oil bottles here, the barrels, before they had oil in cans. And they were filling up this pig of an oil guzzler here. And the guy's saying, why, oh why didn't I get perfect circle piston rings? And it's just a great advertisement. I found this in a garage in Albuquerque that used to service Model A's. And when it was hanging on the wall and I saw it at first, it looked like a black and white photo. And then I started cleaning all the grease and grime, and it was like turning a black and white photo into a color, this beautiful color sign. And this is probably the best example of this sign in the country. So I'm really proud of this.
You know who did these signs? Or I mean, this one's signed, obviously.
That's unusual to have the artwork signed.
Yeah. You'd think a lot of these artists would have been lost in the winds of
for the
time.
most part. They are for the most part. Yeah, it was kind of anonymous, but the graphic arts are really beautiful. And a lot of people who come to visit me appreciate the graphic arts. Because these guys would take, they wouldn't use a full palette. They'd use 2 or 3 colors and get your attention with 2 or 3 colors. The other beautiful thing is, if you're a graphic designer, is the cool use of fonts or typefaces. I mean, for every product was a unique typeface, like
look
the
at that,
Flash,
yeah.
like the white Flash here. And today graphic designers, have a CD full of fonts. Everybody uses the same 100 fonts. You look here, this is unique. This was uniquely created for this sign. So, the graphic arts are really terrific from this period.